Let's take a look at the pretty unique golf swing of Keegan Bradley, soon to be captain of the Ryder Cup team. Now, Keegan, I think, has a pretty underrated career. He, 7 wins. He has a major championship to his name, a couple of wins in the FedEx Cup playoffs, and he certainly has a very interesting motion. So let's break down this motion and some fundamentals of it and see what the average golfer can learn from in Keegan Bradley's golf swing. Now, if you're going to take a look at Keegan Bradley's golf swing, the first thing that is certainly going to stand out to you is the address positioning. Very hunched over, very bent down. Now, I would assume that Keegan plays this way because he is a taller person, and maybe when he first started playing golf, he had some sets of clubs that were just a little bit too short for him, so he had to bend down a little bit more, and now it's just comfortable. He is 6'2", so of pretty solid stature, but when you are that bent down, the club is going to come around you a little bit lower. That's just natural. So when your club is coming a little bit lower, you're going to need to compensate for that by having a little bit of early wrist hinge and just getting that club up and away from you a little bit quicker. There's nothing wrong with that in this motion. It's a little bit more vertical than some people, especially those with flatter swings. But if you have a flatter golf swing, you're generally going to be standing a little bit taller to the golf ball. So if you're a little bit more bent over, then you're going to have a little bit more of a vertical golf swing. That's just the nature of the beast. Now let's talk about the actual rotational aspects of this motion. One thing that I find very interesting is how quickly those hips come through the ball as opposed to the shoulder line. In a lot of golf swings, although they aren't perfectly timed up, generally we'll see pretty close proximity between hip and upper body rotation. But if you see in Keegan's swing, you can even see it in real time. You can notice how those shoulders are just a little bit later than those hips. Now, there isn't a ton of lower body rotation in the golf swing. It's mostly in his knees because he's so bent down in the first place. But when creating power through the ball, those hips really activate and turn towards the target, while the shoulders lag behind just a little bit. In this slow motion view, look at how those hips begin to fire, shoulders wait, and then those hips are completely fired through the ball right around the impact or just after the impact position, while those shoulders lag just a little bit behind. By having that little differential in his sequencing, I think it's a real testament to how athletic a person Keegan Bradley is to become a professional golfer with these types of mechanics. He clearly has excellent hand-eye coordination and can really manipulate the club face very well. He also is a little bit of a steeper player, so in a lot of these videos, especially the ones of him playing on the driving range, you can see a lot of alignment rods, whether it's in that video where it's just on the ground, and there are a few others that he has planted in the ground, and he's working on his swing plane. So in this video, you can see that angle. It's about maybe 40-degree angle into the ground. He's working away from that plane and even trying to get a little bit steeper. In this angle, you'll see it really nicely. See how he comes up and how those hands come down a little bit higher and over the top, and he swings across the golf ball just a little bit. This is a steeper motion. Now, a steep motion will lead to a slice for a lot of amateur golfers, but Keegan has such excellent control over that plane where he's not crazy steep. He's just a little steep comparatively, but he also has wonderful control over that club face where it just turns into a nice baby fade. And if he just shallows out that motion a little bit and keeps that neutral club face, he can turn to a much straighter or even a draw ball flight. So he's certainly capable of all kinds of ball flights, very comfortable on the course with that type of course management skill. There's no wonder why someone this athletic became a pro golfer and has so many wins to his name. Another thing that I have always found interesting in this golf swing is the elbow bend at the top of the golf swing. The elbow, having that straight left arm for a right-handed golfer, having that straight left arm is something that is desirable to a lot of people, but in this slower motion, you can see how that there's just a little bit of elbow bend there, and that's totally fine. The only thing that we really need to consider when incorporating any type of lead elbow bend in a golf swing is making sure that it doesn't affect your swing width and that it doesn't affect your low point control. So whatever the low point of your golf swing is, you need to obviously have control over that in order to hit the ball well. So if you're, bending that left elbow for right-handed golfer prevents you from getting as much width as you need to create power and as much consistency in your low point control, then maybe try and keep it straight. But if you're pretty athletic and have solid hand-eye coordination, you can certainly get away with a little bit of that left elbow bend, especially with the driver in hand. It's actually a great way to free up some upper body rotation as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the golf swing of Keegan Bradley. Again, this is a very interesting motion, one that's certainly been successful for him. So if you have any questions or comments on anything that I mentioned in this video or failed to mention, please leave those in the comment section down below. As always, thank you all very much for watching. Play well and take care.